Tom Hunter is the bride's father. Tom was born. Tom was born? Tom was born. Like so many other hunters, Tom was born in a little place adjacent to the capital city of Scotland, Edinburgh. The place was called Leith. I'm sure that it is purely coincidental that during his formative years, Tom learned to say, "The Leith police dismisseth us," without a stutter, without a stammer, but with a definite lisp. Tom grew up and met and married Christine. They started a family. Then they emigrated to Canada. Then they completed their family with Elizabeth. Now, all of their children have gone off to start their own family tree in that forest of hunters. Tom is retired to do all those things he wants to do. But there's one thing he must do before that. That is to address this company. So Tom, you have the floor.
I would like to, before I actually begin, to compliment the men of the party. You'll notice that they're all sporting beards. Most of them are sporting beards. And I just want to say, keep going, guys. Keep massaging. The rest will grow in. But enough hilarity. There's been many nice things said about Elizabeth and Andrew, the happy couple, tonight. Elizabeth is my youngest and last child to be married. And I wondered, what could I say, to it that might be appropriate? And hurrah, it kind of slips. Just kind of leaps to mind, A father and a child bond in many different ways, and each child is different, and so the bond is different too. Elizabeth and I connect in a variety of ways, but one of the ways we connect is in my poetry. I write poetry and she cries. In fact, a lot of people cry when they hear my poetry. And you can kind of wonder about that. But anyway, I started writing poetry for Elizabeth when she was 12 on her birthday, and it became an every year event. I don't think I can describe my daughter really better than when I say it in poetry. And so I want to share with you some of the poems that I've written for Elizabeth over the last little while. The first poem I wrote for her when she was 12. And it's, well, I'll just read it. Elizabeth's a royal name that makes you think of queens. Elizabeth's a powerful name that fills your head with dreams. Elizabeth's a frilly name with lace and parasol. Elizabeth is crinolines and going to the ball. Now Lizzie, on the other hand, is full of mirth and joy. Lizzie is the kind of girl who could have been a boy. Lizzie likes to dash about and often falls upstairs. Lizzie flops around the floor and never uses chairs. But Liz is very modern and wears a tiny braid. Liz can be as lovely as a priceless piece of jade. Liz can talk with interest on many different things. Liz can give the happiness that lots of hugging brings. But Elizabeth and Lizzie, not to mention Liz, are really just one person. That's just the way she is. And though I wouldn't dare to say a thing that would affront her, she'll always be my baby girl, Elizabeth Helen Hunter. And as I look at her today, she is very definitely an Elizabeth. She's as lovely as any queen who ever graced the planet. But not all of my poetry made Elizabeth cry. When she was in 10th grade or thereabouts, she needed a note for school so that she could keep a doctor's appointment. And as Mum wasn't around, who usually wrote the notes, I wrote the note, and in poetry form. And it went kind of like this. This was to Mr. Crampton. Dear Mr. Crampton, my youngest child, Elizabeth, whom you know best as Liz, requires a note, she tells me, so you know that she is quite properly requesting some time away from school. Not something that she likes to do and break a general rule. So here I am requesting, though her class may not be done, could you kindly send her on her way at 30 before 1? Well, it had to rhyme. She has one last appointment to confirm she's fit and well. And when she comes back to your class, I know she'll work like, well, really hard. Now, Elizabeth has my sense of humour, and she thought this was really neat. And what she forgot, though, was that when you get a note to school and give it to the head class, you then have to take it to the front office. And she wasn't too sure about that, how that would go over. In fact, they decided it was funny too, and so she did all right and came back with that. Mr. Crampton insisted on keeping the note, and by the time Lizzie left high school, he had 6 of these notes. Elizabeth didn't learn to drive right away when she was 16. She held off for a couple of years, and she sat her test. This was also a test for the family, and so I wrote this about her. This year, your wildest thing by far was when you learned to drive the car, not only auto, but stick shift, which gave your confidence a lift, and gave you memories to last, like father shouting, "Not so fast!" and knowing just the way it feels to be a kangaroo on wheels. But all in all, you did just great and never got into a state. Well, maybe once upon our drive, the silly car just simply died. Just one time more than you could bear, and so you simply left it there. Half in the drive, half in the street, with mother in the other seat. And from this young frustrated lass, an anguished cry, and from this young frustrated miss, got to rhyme again, an anguished cry, I can't do this! But yes, you did, and did it well. And just to watch you, I can tell that you are pleased as punch, that you drive stick without a crunch. I think you realize by now that I love my daughter very much. And I would not be satisfied if she settled for anything less than she deserved. She's a smart, intelligent woman of the 90s. With her feet firmly planted on the ground, she has no fears of who she is or what she can do. In Andrew, she has found a young man who loves her deeply and who will cherish and keep her for the rest of her life. Of that, I have no fears. I am very pleased indeed to welcome Andrew as a new son into our family. Officially, although for the last 2 years it feels like he's already been there. Andrew and Liz have one thing that they do. When one of them is being silly or a little off the wall, the other one will turn to the group and say, "For the rest of my life." Well, Andrew and Elizabeth, Mum and I wish you all the health, all the happiness, and God's richest blessing for the rest of your life.
Andrew Ross Thibodeau, the groom, will probably deliver a motivational message which will inspire us all to have a great party when these speeches are over. But first, Andrew, when I saw you today, I must confess that I had a sense of disappointment. It's a personal thing, but well, now I've started, let me explain. When you've lived as long as I have, you'll realize that it's not everyone who is blessed with shapely limbs. Some of us have legs which are not something to write home about. In fact, I keep mine from public and personal view as much as humanly possible. But for the past few months, I've been running about wearing short summer shorts and no socks. And why? Because I wanted brown knees. And why? Because I was going to wear a kilt on this, your wedding day. I didn't want to resemble some exotic lampshade perched on two misshapen Q-tips. So, when I saw you, on 2 or 3 occasions, even at the Sunday morning worship service, wearing summer shorts, well, I knew that we were kindred spirits. So I expected to see you in a kilt today. That's my disappointment. Let me assure you, I got over it very fast. A couple of weeks ago, maybe less than that, you, with Elizabeth, visited my wife Norm and I to talk about the wedding. You arrived punctually, bearing 2 stone tablets on which, or into which, was etched everything you need to know about our wedding procedures and pronunciation of names of persons in the wedding party. There was even phonetic beside the less common names. Mish, Mikulich, and of course, Schleihoff. I thought Vicky Lucky had a certain ring, but Vicky Luck is what you wanted. PJ was another. Not P.J. and not Paul, Peter, Phil. PJ. So that's what you got. There was no problem with Webster, Graham, Saunders, or Ball, then Thibodeau. And I remembered. So, for several weeks now, I was required to read your banns of marriage at Chalmers Church. And why? Because our loving minister was off on a long vacation. Now, I went to great lengths to emphasize this couple's names. Elizabeth Hunter and Andrew Thibodeau. Well, I hardly finished and got down from the lectern and took my seat at the pew when Andrew was all over me like a coat of paint. My name is pronounced Thibodeau. The H is a non-entity. H's are silent. Thibodeau. Andrew, I'm slow. But I finally got it. And so, Andrew Thibodeau and Elizabeth Thibodeau Nee, Hunter, your friendship was always uppermost in my thoughts. In behalf of this company, we wish you both health and happiness throughout your lives together. A very wise woman, a very dear woman, told me very recently that the best place to be is in the midst of a loving family. Well, you young people have landed slap bang dab in the midst of two loving families, and may you never lose that place. Andrew, you can have the floor.
Wow, what a day. Been so wonderful, wonderful. It's kind of, it's hard to believe that all this started with a heckle. Seriously, quite briefly, I was speaking at the University of Western Ontario. Thank you to my friend Michael Burns, who's back there, who first got me started to speak at universities, and my friend Chris OJ, who's also out there, who had me speaking up at Western back in '95, and that's how Liz and I met. But anyhow, I'm speaking, and every time I mention the word Laurier, I hear this whoop, and this come from the audience, and it startles me a couple times. And so when I ran into her at the Elephant and Castle, thanks PJ, 2 days later, those were our opening words. She said, "I was the one yelling at you a couple days ago." Why? I didn't enjoy it. Oh, because we went to the same high school. Oh, okay, and well, here we are today. And wow. Today is such a celebration, and my wife and I, yes. My wife and I want to thank you so much for being part of this unbelievable celebration. I think what makes this celebration even more powerful and special to us is the fact that this celebration just didn't come out of the blue, like all of a sudden all this love and caring started just coming. It's because you've all, in one way or another, been showing this type of love and caring and celebration for us all of our lives. All of our lives. I mean, Liz and I are so privileged to grow up in the families that we have and be surrounded by the friends and relatives that we do have. And so thank you for celebrating with us all the time. For me personally, to my friends, we've never had a problem celebrating. That's for sure. And I've been very blessed to have a very wide range of friends with a very wide range of characters, careers, interests, and they've all given me something. And whether it was whether it's skiing in BC or the nightlife of Nova Scotia, whether it's concerts like GNR and Pearl Jam, U2, and Tragically Hip, rafting on the Ottawa River, or high school track and field and football, New Year's dinners, graduations, balls, and of course, beating most of you in ping pong. Well, except for Jason and Al Gayed, you're quite good too. But anyhow, thank you all, my friends. To my relatives, my exposure with the Hunter family has reminded me just how privileged I am, and actually all the Thibodeaus and Kemps are, where Liz has so many relatives who do not live nearby. And we sat down and figured out that all of my aunts and uncles, let me think, 28 of my 29 cousins, and 16 of my 18 second cousins all live within 1 hour drive of London. In fact, if I got it right, I think we all live within 4 counties. So I'm very privileged that way, that family gatherings are always big, lots of people, and family gatherings are always so special. So to the Thibodeaus and Kemps that are here today, you mean a lot to me. I love you, and I always appreciate seeing you at those gatherings. To my in-laws. In-laws are a crapshoot, you know. It's you never know what you're going to get when you decide to go on that first date. And I gotta tell you, everybody, holy cow, did I win the lottery on this one with the in-laws. I really, really did. what a wonderful, loving, talented, incredibly talented family. They're, the Hunters, I don't know if you know, were a Gaelic singing group that would tour around. In fact, Liz and I first met, she gave me her parents' business card, and they were called the Gales. And they were, so I thought that was her last name. So when I gave her the first call, trying to set up a date, I said, "Is Liz Gale there?" And who? Instantly, I'm thinking, I'm shot down already. I've already said the wrong thing. So it's neat how the weddings of my brothers and sister-in-law have been very important in our lives. Lynn's wedding was where Liz and I really got started in our relationship. It was at Paul's wedding in early '96, and Liz was up there all dressed up as part of the wedding that it really kind of struck me. Wow. She is fantastic. That's where it really, really started striking me when I was, how much in love I was falling. And then standing with Liz at Dave and Stacy's wedding this couple months ago was also just a joy. It was just a wonderful time. To Tom and Christine, I just got to thank you so much for your generosity. I mean, beyond just what you see around you today and taking me to Scotland and things like that, but your generosity in always opening up your home to me and all your special family things you always included me in right from the get-go. There was never an adjustment period with me, with my in-laws. They instantly accepted me and loved me, and I appreciate that. To my brother and sister, put aside those minor spats. We had a lot of love in our family, and continue that today. In fact, the '90s have been good for all of us as adults, getting together all the time, and I'm really blessed to come with the type of family that I have. And to my parents, let's face it, Liz and I do not have to look any farther than our parents to figure out the clues to what makes a successful marriage. Both of our parents have been married for more than 30 years, and are just wonderful role models to us. And I actually find describing my parents very difficult because every positive word describes them perfectly. So I think the most powerful thing that describes what they mean to me is what they've taught me. Quick example, 1993, they're hosting a graduation party for me from University of Western Ontario. A gentleman was over fixing our back door that Dad and Mom had hired. And I walked by him, kind of give him a smile, and walked down the stairs. Stop, think to myself, well, that's not the right thing to do. I go back upstairs and say to the gentleman, "Can I get you a drink?" And he smiles at me and says, "No, your parents already got me one." Last year, my lawn finally arrived at my house. I had to wait over a year before I finally had a lawn. I arrived home from a hot July day, and I saw the lawn workers working out back. And it was really hot, and I got inside and went downstairs, filled the cooler up with pop, went out back, introduced myself, and said, "Help yourself, gentlemen." And about an hour and a half later, Liz had arrived, and we were cooking up dinner. They knocked on the door, and the cooler came back. And well, Liz says, "Well, I'll clean this up." She opened up the cooler, and there was a $5 bill on top of the cans. And we both got a little teary-eyed because it was the most powerful $5 bill we ever saw. And I tell you, where I learned those traits. And it's my parents right there. I love them so very much. We joke that I lived at home for 26 and a half years. The last 5 of them, it was just us three. It was just us three for 5 of those last 5 years. But let's face it, if I was to do, 1970 to 1996 all over again, I'd do it all over again, because when I came home to 47 Metcalf Crescent, it was always home, because there was always comfort, there was always love, there was always understanding. And I'm going to try to bring that, well, I will bring that into my home. But the jewel of today is my lovely wife, Elizabeth Thibodeau. God, that sounds good. And no offense to my Scottish friends, but for a future French teacher, that sounds a lot better. Madame Thibodeau. I love it. Music is an integral part of Liz and I's life. She sings it, and I'm the best air guitarist you've ever seen. Because I can't sing. I'm working on it, though. Chris and Liz are trying to teach me, but it's amazing how so many songs really describe my feelings about Liz. For example, I taped her the song by Nazareth called Sunshine. Sunshine, every single day it helps to light my way. And darling, right before my eyes, it should come as no surprise that it's easy, so easy loving you. Journey sings the song Faithfully, which you'll hear as our last song before we leave tonight. They say that the road ain't no place to start a family. But you and I, I'm making up my own words now because I can forget them now. But right down the line, it's been you and me. Those are the words, everybody. I've come back. But I'll be forever yours, faithfully. And finally, our song, which you will hear is the first song tonight, Songbird by Fleetwood Mac. And I feel that when I'm with you, it's all right. I know it's right. The moment I decided to marry her was my 27th birthday last year. It was a cold and stormy day, because my birthday's in January. It was a wild day coming home from Stu and I's office up there on Wortley Road. And I come home and I open the door, and it was just warm, and Liz was cooking, and it smelled fantastic, and she comes to the door to greet me, and I say to myself, I can come home to this for the rest of my life. There's a little twist. It was both Cameron and I's birthday at that time, and Cameron, my good buddy, is allergic to eggs, so she made us an egg-free cake, complete with little football figures on top, because that's Liz. Always does the extra things, always does thoughtful things. For Christmas this year, she got me the AC/DC box set, which alone attributes to her love for me, because she hates AC/DC. But, and she gave me 5 CDs worth, but she set up a scavenger hunt, and every clue was a musical title. And for about 20 minutes, I was running around my house trying to find this gift, because Liz always does the extra, and that's why I'm marrying her. Because we laugh so much, we challenge each other, whether it's grocery shopping or cooking or just taking a walk, we always have fun. And she gave me a card about a year ago that we still have in our room because it says perfectly what I think about her. It says simply this. It's got 2 squirrels on the front hugging, and it says, when I think about what my life would be without you, I will want to take you in my arms and never let you go. So my wife and I thank you all for sharing this day. I thank Ed for an incredible job as MC. I want to thank Emily and the entire staff here at Sunningdale for an incredible job. If you're ever planning a wedding in your future, this is the place. They're just unbelievable people to work with. Thank you so much. Everybody, you've been incredibly patient. I look out there, you've all got your attention on me, and I appreciate that. You've been great. Enjoy the party. Have a great time. Liz and I are going to be here for a few hours enjoying it with you. We're going to start the dance in just a few minutes, moving the tables around again, and then... But the outside patio is going to be open, so is the lounge. Enjoy yourself. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much.